The Champion Science Adventures program is designed to inspire children to learn science. It's also designed to make you a science superstar. We've designed this whole program around ease of use and easy to implement to empower you to really effectively drive some great science learning. So how do we make you the science superstar? Well, it starts with the curriculum. Foundationally, we set out to write a different type of curriculum, a curriculum that would leap off the page and make this program easy to implement and effective to use. We went outside, we looked at some of the best science curriculums in the country, we looked at formal education, enrichment education. We looked at what the National Science Teachers Association was recommending, and we took our 18 years of history in writing motivational science programs and combined it in our best curriculum to date. The curriculum today is loosely based on the 5E model that is recommended by the National Science Teachers Association. The 5 E's of inquiry science are engage the students, explore and experiment, explanation, have the children explain what they're doing, elaboration, draw connections for brain-based learning, and evaluate, make sure that the learning took place. We loosely took that and developed our own system that really shines in the enrichment science space. What I'm going to do now is guide you through the curriculum format. It's very modular, so it's easy to digest the different parts of information, and it's quick to learn, so you can be ready to teach in 30 minutes. So we're going to step through page by page, section by section. If you put the time to read the lesson and get the materials ready, you will be a science superstar. So come in, let's take a look at a lesson. The lesson we're going to look at today is snakes. Partly because I like saying snakes. It doesn't matter which lesson we chose. All the lessons are exactly the same. They've all been formatted the same way and with the same set of tools to empower you to be effective and to facilitate some really meaningful science learning. So if we take a look at page 1, on top of the page 1 we have the title Snakes, and it's also color-coded. You see there that it's in red, and we have a nice icon in the bottom right-hand corner, a DNA strand, and underneath that it says Life Science. This is one of the national standard themes, and each lesson has its own icon. For physical science, we're using a set of beakers. For technology, there's a fun-looking robot. And for Earth and space, there's a picture of our home, the Earth. So it's really easy to see what strand you're in. It should be easy to pick out if you've purchased multiple lessons from us, what the theme for the day is going to be, and the lesson. Right underneath the title, we have the goal of the lesson. Each of these lessons have been designed to mirror to that, to map to that goal. We really want to make sure that everything the children do are building towards a goal. There's built-in repetition that increases retention, and so we're trying to really focus in on some key learnings that the children will take away. To the right of that are the actual national science standards the lessons are mapped to. We have K4 standards and 5 through 8 standards. These lessons have been designed to be taught to multi-age group classes. That can be a challenge, and again, it all comes down to that balance between content and process skills. Some of the older children are going to take away slightly more content. Some of the younger children, the value that they're going to get from the lesson is exposure to some content, but a lot of process skills that help them form their 3D spatial skills and their critical thinking skills. Underneath the goals and the science standards that the lessons align to, we have the big ideas. This is designed for a teacher. We want you to be the superstar. So we've gone ahead and put in some background information. We've done it as a form of question, so we're asking 3 to 4 separate questions that might pop into your mind if you were asked to teach a lesson about snakes, and we've presented them as separate columns. It's not for you to read to the children, it's just for the teacher to become comfortable with the subject matter so you feel ready to go. At the end of each of the big ideas is a fun fact. This is in part to engage you with something interesting that might make you smile. They're also great to have in your hip pocket if you're transitioning from indoors to outdoors for, say, one of the flight lessons, or you've got to hand out some materials, or we've got to go get some glue, or there's some pause in the lesson. These are great facts just to throw out to the children to keep the discussion going and keep the entire class focused on the content that's being delivered in a really sort of fun, engaging way. Underneath big ideas, we've got science talk. The science talk are all the vocab words pulled out for you separately. I definitely believe that science is a great springboard to other topics such as English and math, and these are very key in the elementary school system. So we wanted to pull this out. If you were doing this as a part of a series of lessons, you could generate vocab lists, you could do spelling tests, things like that. But these are all the definitions of the key science words that are being taught in the lesson. As we turn the page, the big ideas section finishes up with the final fun fact, and we get to what you need. These are the materials that you need to be that superstar. They're broken into two parts. You've got what's going to come into the kit for every teacher. So they're packed for 5 students in a baggie, and every baggie will contain those materials that you need to teach this lesson. We're also going to list a bunch of general classroom type supplies that we need to teach this lesson that we expect that you would have in your rooms. Things like glue, things like crayons, markers, those type of materials, and we're going to list out those separately so you can have them all ready to go for the lesson, so you're not reaching around or looking for stuff as the lesson is being taught. Underneath that, we've got before you begin. These are preparation steps. These are things that you would absolutely need to have ready before the children start the lesson. And it is a lot easier and the lessons run a lot smoother if you have these ready to go before you begin. Examples of things that might include before you begin: pouring chemicals, making worksheets, cutting pieces of string, or even tying knots in pieces of string if that's appropriate for the age group you've got. These are all activities. We've tried to limit them as much as possible, but they are some preparation steps that just make the lesson flow a lot more smoothly. After that, we're transitioning to sort of a red title, and we're getting to the first section that really gets done with the children. This is sort of the first 5 minutes of the lesson that you're teaching. And this is the engage section. We're going to list 3 to 4 questions that really make the subject matter, in this case snakes, relevant to the children. Why do the children want to know about snakes? And we're going to do it by asking the children some questions, getting them thinking. There's not always an answer or a right or wrong answer to these questions. A lot of them are just children's choice. The idea is just to engage them in the topic, get some discussion flowing, so we're then primed and ready to start the experiment and actually use some inquiry to answer those questions. After that step is a very important section. This is our science safety section. We list out all the potential pitfalls of the lesson just to make you really mindful of things that can go wrong. One of the key areas in this lesson is small parts. Lots of times our lessons include things that, if put in the mouth, could be a choking hazard, and so we always want to highlight to you nothing in any of these lessons should go anywhere near the children's mouths. But please pay attention. If we're using liquids, if anything gets spilled, to mop it up quickly so people don't slip. While we want this to be fun and engaging science, above all we want it to be safe science.